meet me in the middle. What I can tell you has become very clear to me is I believe that the world desperately needs to figure out how to fall in love with purple, not red or blue. Because they both have major valid points and they both have major flaws.
Wow.
And the middle, especially parenting. One of the reasons I started VeeFriends is I knew what was happening with GaryVee. You know this, we run in enough similar circles. I've been very blessed that because of where I was then able to be what my mom and my circumstance in a lot of ways did for me, I've been able to do for a lot of people, right? It feels nice.
Yes.
You get it too. It feels nice for people to say, hey, you've really helped me. For me, children, you get in that early. It's one thing if I meet you in 2009 in St. Louis and could be a positive deposit. You've been built though. There's a lot of there. You had to do a lot of your work. I can't do that as an outside motivation or inspiration or perspective.
Right.
But when you get in early, so for example, in VeeFriends, there's a character called Accountable Ant. I'm obsessed with this character. I believe that if I can make that character cool, like Pikachu or Spider-Man, right? That if you're a kid that falls in love with the cartoons I'm gonna put out or the kids' books or the video games, and you're like, I f with Accountable Ant, that's my guy, right?
I am accountable for everything in my life.
Think about what happens. If you love Spider-Man or you love Wolverine or you love Pikachu, like you're subconsciously getting in virtues of that. Like, or you envy it because you don't have it. If all of a sudden Accountable Ant is your guy and you're wearing hoodies with it, it kind of gets hard if you're like, I f with Accountable Ant,
and you're not
to not be accountable, or at least strive to it, or at least even know the existence. There's many people watching, listening, that don't even realize that they live in a full dwelling, complaining, blaming framework. I've had many friends, relatives, and relationships, acquaintances, and business partners because my parents too far went with no complaining, which meant keep things in, right? But as you can imagine, if you're visceral to complaining, you smell it from a mile away.
Yes.
And then if you're really visceral to it and you smell it from a mile away, well, you're aware that someone's constantly dwelling and blaming. And so to me, like what was most fascinating in my 30s and 40s as I've gone through this journey is they don't see it, which led me to the great breakthrough of candor. Lewis, I didn't know when we met that was my kryptonite. I thought it was my strength. How about that?
Because you're being honest online and you're being honest on stage, you mean? Or?
Nope, because I didn't even realize the dichotomy of that. I just thought I was being nice. I was like, look what I'm doing for Sally. 2 more years of payroll when she sucks. Look what I'm doing for Ricky. This guy blows. He'll never be okay out there. There was probably a mix of little ego, like jump on my shoulders, I'll be Superman, which is why I'm using the kryptonite example. But there was also, I thought it was being good. Life's hard lessons. I had to wake up in my mid-40s and go, why is anyone that's ever worked for me not like me? Because you'd read a tweet and be like, Gary, like, I'd be like, fuck, how's that possible? I was so nice to Johnny. I had to really do that work.
Why do you think people maybe don't like you?
Well, people in the outside world who don't know me don't like me. The reason they wouldn't like it is because either my communication style isn't their jam, which I understand. Like when you're aggressive and confident and competitive and Jersey and like my shtick in their mind, like it doesn't work for them. I understand that. Some people are more chill. Like, like the reason people don't like, I love to live in New York City. Some people come to like, get me the fuck out of here on that, right? It's too much. That I respect. Number two.
But the people that know you or work for you or.
Yeah, let me finish this. I think this will help people because what I'm really trying to do in this is not say it about me. I'm hoping that people can start having a better relationship with people not liking them that don't know them.
That's good.
So number two, it's their own. They want to be a successful entrepreneur and I'm triggering, affirmation of like, they're not there yet. And they're like, this guy, right? 3, they've overly put me on a pedestal and then I do something that they don't agree with and it fucks them up, which is very flattering, but very understanding. But it's all wrapped up in who they are with themselves. On the version of people that do know me, the only thing, the black and white thing was the inability. It's only the people closest that didn't get the candor that I actually ironically liked the most. Now, what's been nice, what got me away with it for a long time was people's like own accountability. why I was getting away with it in my own mind to my own self was people would hit me up 3-4 years later with emails like, I'm sorry. Because they had gone through, look, if you're a C player, you're good with me. Because I think you need all kinds. It was D and F. So you can imagine, and that was a subjective opinion, whether I'm right or wrong. But as you can imagine, it's not like I'm bad at it. I've been doing it my whole life. So a lot of those people really were D and F-ing it. And they, through their own work on themselves, actually were able to go back and actually see they were able to see so many of the nice things I was doing, even though I was sloppy on the candor and on the firing.
It's kind of like when you get older and you look back at your parents. You blame your parents as a kid. Oh, they didn't give me this, they didn't do this, but then
you understand.
I know they were just doing the best they could, or they really tried hard here, and they were giving me so much here, they sacrificed.
Especially if you become a parent yourself.
Of course.
Then you're like, oh.
I get it. Yeah. I get it.
It's almost like the way I think about athletes. Like, boo, you suck. I'm like, you go out there.
Try that. Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
Speaking about this topic, just
Please.
Start with, still kind of with this first question, is this sustainable? What you just said right here, I think is one of the biggest things that holds people back, whether that's creating content online, starting a business, or putting themselves out there in any endeavor, is people care so much what other people think about them.
The end.
How do people overcome the opinions and judgments of others with their craft, business, or art?
Therapy, positive consumption, new friends, exercise, psychedelics, true work that is starting with, do you understand that that's what is actually happening? I believe that is a blind spot to everyone. They don't realize why they wear designer clothes. They, for so many people, it's attracting the opposite sex because they're looking for that closing of the gap of love, right? So of course, alpha guys like, I got to get think about all the trends we see, right? Like, these girls won't like me if I'm not rich, right? Like, but it's all like deeper than that. That's the surface level, like pizzazz. It's like they're looking for love, and love is important as and so because they're looking for that, they believe they need the proxies to get it without realizing that's often going to attract not the clean version of love you're actually looking for. It's a whole it's almost, it's funny. I said something to Nick, one of my key executives at VaynerMedia. He came from Saatchi & Saatchi, a very classic, Mad Men era, right? And about 6 months in, I could see he had it and all this. And then he was like doing a bunch of stuff. And I kind of recognized what was happening. And I sat him down and I said, Nick, I want you for the next year in this company, if you want to grow, do the opposite of everything you intuitively think you want to do.
What was he doing?
He would do like, for example, at Vayner, what I try to teach people, I talk about the irony about what I'm saying. So
be candid. Give
me your hand. This is so crazy. I launched, Dustin, we just launched something called Elephant Meetings. Let's get the elephant out of the room.
Oh, that's good.
It's saving our company, bro.
Wow.
And when I say saving, our retention is going to explode because of this.
Wow.
So what he and every advertising person, I'm laughing right now because I know every single ad agency, marketing agency, social media agency person's about to smile. Whether they consciously or subconsciously do it, everything is based on save the customer, which means you're just eating, like you're just yesing them to death, even though they're wrong. Like, I'll give you an example in social media. Lewis, I want you to post on fucking MySpace. That's where we need to be. Right. And you're like, yes, sir, Gary, we will. And that's not what you should do today. And so just like classic stuff, or like putting a television commercial on a pedestal versus a social media post, which is my whole thesis. So there was just a lot of stuff. He was coming with a lot of baggage.
Yes.
Anyway, I know he's gonna smile right now because I know it's been a big factor in his life. And it's kind of what I wanna say to everyone right now. It's almost like if you're not happy, as you're listening right now, if you're anxious, if you feel a lot of pressure, the answer is, ironically, you have to start doing the opposite of everything you naturally want to do. So you naturally want to be at night dealing with this and you're all stressed. So what you want to naturally do is go grab another bottle of vodka. What you're supposed to do is not do that and wake up tomorrow morning and go to the gym. I do think the other thing is let's talk about, people like to say the toxic people around you. I'm gonna give you a different one. What about the enablers?
Right.
What about the people like your mom or dad or brother and sister or best friends who are letting you get away with your bad behavior because they have my flaw? They don't have candor. So what people understand is like,
they're not going to give you tough love or tough communication or just challenging communication.
It's really crazy, right? Like it's like in my real life, in the GaryVee part of it, all the admiration comes from like, you're the one that told me like, shut up. Right? But in real life,
to the public, right?
Right. But in real life, I'm very fortunate. I have a pretty stable, epic family situation where there's like, we don't have any like off the reservation family members where like, but like friends and stuff like that. Like I was taught, and it's ingrained in me to be the superhero. I want to fix, but that's what gets parents in a bad place of paying for their kids and all that. So these are complicated things, but I would say to people, pay attention to your circle because it's everything. You know, it's a cliche. It's not like I'm inventing a saying. The 5 people you're around, you know, all that. It's real. It's real. I really watch that, and I'm like, that's real life stuff.